Various people, close and distant, children, mother, wife, pray to God to help the good man George Bailey, who is in trouble.
A lot of people asking for help for a man named George Bailey.
The prayers reach God, and he decides to urgently send the angel Clarence Oddbody to Earth, because tomorrow it will be too late.
You want to know something about him, don't you?
Well,
Angel Clarence began to quickly explore the biography of George Bailey. Winter 1919. George Bailey is 12 years old. He and his friends are going downhill. Everyone is slippery and fun. It was the turn of George's younger brother, Harry. He accelerated so much that he drove farthest and fell through the ice into the river. George, without thinking, rushed into the water to save his brother. Altogether, the friends pulled the brothers out of the water. But George got a bad cold, and since then his left ear has been unable to hear.
Mr. Gower, George Bailey.
You all right?
Yes, sir.
A few weeks later, George went to work in a pharmacy. George worked part-time after school.
I like him. You like every boy. What's wrong with that?
He accidentally read a telegram from Mr. Gower, which reports that his son has died. Being under stress, Mr. Gower prepared medicine for a sick patient, in which he added poison. George notices this, but Mr. Gower scolded George and sent him to deliver the medicine to the address. George left, but was unable to carry the medicine because he was very doubtful. When George returned with the medicine back to Mr. Gower's pharmacy, Gower begged him to scold him, but George explained the reason for his action.
You don't know what you're doing. You put something wrong in those capsules.
Mr. Gower knelt down in front of the boy and asked him for forgiveness.
Oh, Mr. Gower.
George Bailey is going to college and is planning to buy a large suitcase.
I want a big one.
But it turned out that there was a huge personal suitcase with his name waiting for him in store.
How much this cost?
No charge.
The gift was given by Mr.
Came down
Gower.
and picked it out himself.
He did? What do you know about that? My old boss.
The friendly Bailey family is preparing Harry Bailey for his school prom.
Aren't you going to finish dressing for your graduating party? Look at you.
Harry invites George to the event. Over lunch, the father really hopes that George will continue his work in their company, but George is set to leave this small town.
Something big and something important.
You're right.
The father is forced to accept
Now, you've
this.
got talent, son. I've seen it.
At the graduation party, George meets Mary Hatch, who has been in love with George since childhood.
Hey, this is my band.
Oh, why don't you stop annoying me?
Now George saw how beautiful Mary Hatch was and couldn't take his eyes off her. A competition is announced for the best performance of the doubles Charleston.
Did you know there's a swimming pool under this floor?
At this time, a graduate in love with Mary, out of jealousy, turns on the sliding floor, under which the school pool opens. The carried away George and Mary don't notice this and fall into the pool. Then everyone present begins to dive after them into the pool. A very funny show.
Can't you come out tonight? Can't you come out tonight? Can't you come out tonight?
George and Mary, having changed their clothes, go home together. They have a great time together.
You may kiss my hand.
But suddenly friends appear and take George away because at that time his father died. The board of directors of the Bailey Building and Loan Association Company, in connection with the death of the founder of the company, George's father, must choose a successor. George is getting ready to go to college. Mr. Potter, a board member, is the richest banker in the city. He seeks to take over the Bailey Company to become the sole owner of the entire financial system. He raised the issue of liquidating the Bailey Company.
You're all businessmen here. Doesn't make them better citizens, doesn't make them better customers.
The board of directors rejected Mr. Potter's proposal, but at the same time, one condition was announced: George Bailey should head the Bailey Company. George was forced to comply and postponed his college studies.
I know. He didn't go.
That's right. Not only that, but he gave his school money to his brother Harry and sent him to college. Harry became a football star.
George waited for Harry to graduate from college and take over the Bailey Company. George and Billy Bailey meet Harry on the station platform. Harry presented a surprise: his wife Ruth.
Wait a minute. George, Uncle Billy, I want you to meet Ruth. Hello. How do you do? Ruth Dakin.
Ruth Dakin Bailey, if you don't mind.
Her father offered Harry a scientific job in the field of glass production, and George is forced to continue his work at the Bailey Company. From a conversation with his mother, George finds out that Mary Hatch has graduated from college and returned home.
Came back 3 days ago. Nice girl, Mary.
George visited Mary.
I'll be downstairs, Mother.
All right, dear.
She looks at George with such loving, sparkling eyes.
Let's get that dress.
Do you like it? Mary, who's down there with you?
It's George Bailey, Mother.
George Bailey? What's he want?
Mary's mother intervened and recommended that George leave because Sam, Mary's potential fiancé, was calling from New York.
Hello?
Forgot my hat.
To make George jealous, Mary began flirting with Sam over the phone.
How are you? Oh, well, that's awfully sweet of you, Sam.
What are you trying to do, steal my girl?
Oh, well, what do you mean? Nobody's trying to steal anybody's girl. Here's Mary.
No, wait a minute. I want to talk to
Here, you.
Tell Mary to get on the extension.
You talk.
Passion captured George and Mary. The recognition was mutual.
George.
George and Mary became husband and wife. They went on a honeymoon to Bermuda. Driving past the bank, George noticed the panic among the people.
I've never really seen one, but that's got all the earmarks of being a run.
Hey, lady, you got any money in the bank? You better hurry.
He jumped out of the car and ran to the Bailey Company office.
Now, look, why don't you all sit down? Here, there are a lot of seats over there. Why did you call?
I just did, but they said you left. This is a pickle, George. This is a pickle.
All right.
Mr. Potter's bank demanded the Bailey Company repay the loan. There was nothing to give.
George, are you all right? Do you need any police?
Police? What for?
Well, mobs get pretty ugly sometimes, you know.
You're thinking of this place all wrong, as if I had the money back in a safe. The money's not here. Well, your money's in Joe's house. That's right next to yours. And in the Kennedy house and Mrs. Maitland's house. Potter isn't selling, Potter's buying. And why? Because
Mary Hatch gave all the money she had for the honeymoon and thereby saved the situation.
And I need money. How much do you need?
Tom, how much do you need?
$242.
No, Tom, just enough to tide you over until the bank. All right, Miss Davis.
Could I have $17.50?
2, 1, bingo! We made it! Look, we're still in business. We still got $2 left. Well, look, let's have some of that. Let's celebrate.
Every day Mary worked hard at home. She led the ruined old house into a beautiful palace.
Welcome home, Mr. Bailey. This is what I wished for.
The Bailey Building and Loan Association, led by George, began building beautiful homes for the poor on empty land. The common people rejoiced in their happiness. This irritates Mr. Potter very much.
Bread, that this house may never...
Mr. Potter invited George to his office for negotiations. He offered George a job with a very large salary.
I am an old man, and most people hate me, but I don't like them either, so that makes...
George became very agitated at this proposal.
$20,000 a year. Okay.
But unexpectedly for everyone, George angrily refuses this offer.
I don't need 24 hours. I don't have to talk to anybody. I know right now, and the answer's no.
Then the war began. George's mother joined the Red Cross and sewed for the soldiers. Mary gave birth to 2 more children and managed to volunteer to help the military. Harry Bailey became a military pilot and shot down 15 enemy planes. George was not called up due to a bad ear. He helped in the city. He collected waste paper, rubber, and announced an air raid alert. The war ended in defeat for Germany and Japan. The president awarded Harry Bailey with the Order of Honor. This was published on the front pages of all newspapers in America. Before Christmas, an auditor from the bank came to the Bailey Building and Loan Association. At this time, Uncle Billy Bailey at the bank had to submit a report and a deposit of $8,000. When Billy was filling out documents at the bank, Potter was brought in a wheelchair. During the conversation, Billy accidentally gave Potter, along with the newspaper, an envelope containing $8,000.
How about that finger there?
One of us is going to jail. Well, it's not going to be me.
Loss of money threatened George or Billy Bailey with prison, bankruptcy of the company.
Must she keep playing that?
George came home on Christmas Day very upset. He started shouting at his children and his wife.
I'm sorry.
George leaves the house. Mary asks the children to pray for Dad and bring him home.
Yes, Pete.
I need help.
George came to Potter to ask for a loan of $8,000.
Help me, won't you, please?
You misplaced $8,000.
Yes.
Potter told George that the assistant prosecutor and the press were looking for him.
I'm going to swear out a warrant for your arrest.
George humbly asks for help, but he refused. Potter said, "You would be more useful if you died." Completely destroyed, George stands on the bridge preparing to commit suicide. At this time, the angel Clarence appears, rushes into the water, and screams for help. Without hesitation, George rushed into the river to save the old man.
I knew if I were drowning, you'd try to save me.
How'd you know my name?
Oh, I know all about you.
AS2. What's that AS2?
Angel, second class.
Angel Clarence directly told George that he was his angel and he was sent to save George. In anger, George said the phrase, "I wish I had not been born."
What'd you say?
I said I wish I'd never been born.
You've got your wish. You've never been born.
Angel Clarence made this phrase come true. They went to the city. George and Clarence entered the bar.
Your boss, where is he?
Hey, look, I'm the boss. You want a drink or don't you?
Okay, all right.
George, no one recognizes Mr. Gower poisoned a child and served 20 years in prison.
Didn't I tell you never to come panhandling around here? Huh?
Mr. Gower.
Younger brother Harry drowned as a child. His mother doesn't know him and didn't let him home.
What do you want?
The Bailey Building and Loan Association went bankrupt and closed. Taxi driver Ernie sees him for the first time in his life. Policeman Bert doesn't know George either and tries to arrest him.
I need a drink.
Well, which way to go? Help me find him.
Mary Hatcham doesn't know. She didn't get married and remained an old maid. Having gone through this horror, George shouted to the angel Clarence, "Bring me back."
Get me back to my wife and kids. I want to live again. Please, God, let me live again. Merry Christmas!
Happy George ran home, where the auditor and the prosecutor's office were waiting for him with an arrest warrant.
Reporters, where's Mary? Mary!
But this did not upset him at all.
Kids! Suzu, my little ginger snap, how do you feel?
Mary Hatch told city residents about George's troubles. The whole city collected money for George and came to his house.
Hey, George, Merry Christmas. I made the ransom with George account.
Mr. Martini, how about some wine?
The arrest warrant was torn up in front of everyone. Angel Clarence left George a gift of a book with the signature. He who has friends has already achieved a lot in life. A splendid, happy ending movie.